News Talk 94.5 WPTI, 96.7 FM WTOB. And you're listening to the Wealth Guardians with Doug Ray, helping you to retire that job but keep the paycheck. With me today is Brice Payne. And today, since it's almost springtime, we're going to be talking a little bit about golf and how that kind of relates to your retirement planning. Morning, Brice.
Good morning, Doug. How are you?
I am great.
Are there any golf going on yet?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Is there?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I only focus on basketball in March, so I have no idea when the golf season
they're
starts.
playing down to Ponte Vedra this weekend, PGA Championship.
Very good.
Yeah.
Right. Speaking of this weekend, let's just remind everybody out there that time changes.
That's exactly right.
So please do not wake up without having done that and going to work an hour. Would it be an hour early or an hour late? I don't know. I'm not going to put my thought into it. But
well, it's when we spring ahead on the clock.
Spring ahead.
Remember spring ahead, fall back?
Right, but I still have to put my head around, does that mean you'd be arriving to work late or early if you didn't change it?
You just better be on time.
Just be on time, folks. But you're on time for listening to our show this morning. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of things here, let's go ahead and do our Wealth Guardian service salute to all of our men and women in uniform out there. Thank you for your service to the country, to the flag, to your fellow Americans. We here at the Wealth Guardians are always cognizant that it's not an easy service and sometimes sacrifices are made. Doug, thank you for your service. Garrett, thank you for your service. And everyone else out there who's put on the uniform, we thank you for your service as well. You are in our thoughts and our hearts every day. All right, Doug, now you mentioned golf, but we're going to get to that in the second segment.
Okay.
I wanted to talk to you about something. You and I and Garrett were at a symposium for Financial Independence Group, a gathering of a couple thousand advisors. We do this once a year, and this week, this last 2 weeks ago, it was in Orlando. And you're sitting there with in a large conference room, listening to the best of the best people in the field talking about their tips and tricks and the new. The new services or products on the market, or the new ways to service your clients. You see dentists in there, you see doctors doing these things, but this is the advisors one. And something happened in this symposium that I want to talk to our viewers about, and it was on the second day. And Garrett and your wife Sherry and I knew what was going on. You didn't, but Sherry got you to sit in the front. Mm-hmm. And then they readjusted you in the front a little bit, and you weren't sure what was going on.
No, I was not.
But they were doing an award, and this was the inaugural year of the William H. Cain Lifetime Achievement Award, of which there were two recipients, you being one of them, and Richard Berry out in Myrtle Beach being another one. Just happens that they both happen to be from the Carolinas, but this is a national event. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, the William H. Cain Lifetime Achievement Award. I had my phone recording you when they were showing the video of our clients talking about you and what the award meant, and Bill Cain being on the screen there and whatnot. And I have to zoom in, but I'm pretty sure I saw a little bit of moisture in your eyes there.
A little bit.
So tell us, so let's start off and talk about this. Who is William H. Cain?
Well, Dr. Bill, as we affectionately call him, he and his wife Erica started Financial Independence Group probably 30-some-odd years ago in Asheville. And what Financial Independence Group is, technically it's called insurance marketing organizations. But what they do for you and our clients is help us do the back office stuff. They prepare paperwork, applications. They find us the great insurance products out there like life insurance, annuities, long-term care, that kind of thing. And they also look for the quality insurance companies. Folks, there's thousands and thousands of these companies out there, but there's only really a couple dozen handful of great insurance companies out there. And that's what they specialize in, is helping advisors find those perfect companies just for you. Well, I met Bill and Erica back in '98 when I first went independent. And they had moved the office down to Cornelius, and it was a relatively small office. So I've seen them grow over the years. And today, with Bill and Erica's leadership, Financial Independence Group is one of the top 3 IMOs in the country. They do billions of dollars worth of business every year. And to me, Bill Kane has been a mentor, a coach. And, if you're successful in anything in life, you've got to have mentors and coaches, multiple mentors and coaches.
Right, absolutely. So let's talk about that. You've been in the field for 34 years and been working with Bill for essentially that long, or close to it. 24 years is when you, if by my calculations, you joined with FIG. What have you learned from him?
A couple things really stand out. The first thing he said to me many, many years ago, I was kind of in a slump. All businesses go through peak times and slow times, and I was in a slump. And he looks at me and he goes, nothing else works like work, and activity begets activity. And that's what I learned. I said, when I'm in a slump, I'm just going to continue to do what has been successful for me, and you'll work your way through the slump. But other things along the way, too, that Bill has come up and done for us is a lot of motivational work. They go out of their way to make sure not just me or Richard Berry, but every single advisor that they work with is successful as you want to be. Because in this business, well, the sky is unlimited. I mean, you could handle 10,000 clients if you had the capacity to do that, or you could be successful with just 500. Mm-hmm. But they go out of their way for each and every one of us so that we can be successful in our own right.
Very good. I heard you say, you've been in the field for a number of years, and this is not your first award that you've been a recipient of, but I think I heard you say, talking to Sherry or somebody there at FIG when we were in Orlando, that out of all the awards that you've received, this one is at the top of the list. Why would that be? Oh, well,
I've been fortunate in this business. I've won a lot of different awards, but nothing means more to me than this one. Because of the relationship that I have with Bill, and because of the fact that I directly tie my success to him and Erica. I mean, without them, all of this wouldn't exist. The office wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have the great employees I've got, and certainly wouldn't have all the great clients we've got. So, without him and Erica, this wouldn't be here.
Very good. Very good. Well, I appreciate you taking a few minutes. I know I ran this by you earlier today saying, hey, let's go ahead and talk about this. And I think I kind of had to pull the strings a little bit to make you do this, because you don't like talking about yourself. You like talking about the business and the things that go on in tax laws and all of that. But I do appreciate you taking a few minutes. The reason I wanted to do this was I knew watching you that it was close to your heart what this award did. And I wanted our not just our clients out there. We have a lot of dedicated clients who listen to this show every day, but there's a lot of clients, people out there who aren't our clients, and I just want them to be aware of your dedication to the field, and that is recognized not just by us here on the radio or people in the office or our clients, but it's recognized by other professionals out there in the field. So thank you for taking a minute to talk about this. It was an honor to be sitting next to you when you won it, and I look forward to there being more awards like this down the Wealth Guardians.
Well, I want to thank you and the staff, because I truly was surprised, and folks understand what they did. They brought clients in my office here in Clemens to video testimonials, and I had no idea.
Yep. We did that over the course of a week while you were out and about doing other stuff. So, all right. Well, thanks for talking about that. I do want to get to, we've got an event coming up. We're doing our taxes and retirement workshop. So this is a really key seminar. We do seminars about every other month throughout the year, and we'll do them on Social Security, and we'll do them on retirement planning. And this one is taxes and retirement. And it's at a key time that we're doing this, because as there are frequently year in and year out, there are some changes to the tax laws. And if you are not in retirement yet, and you have spent your life contributing to your 401k, maybe have a non-qualified account open, and you pay your taxes like you're supposed to, you're probably only familiar with your tax bracket and long-term capital gains and short-term capital gains. And that is probably the only taxes that you're familiar with. But Doug, tax laws in retirement change drastically once you are drawing Social Security, once you no longer have a paycheck, once you are drawing from your your investments. There's a whole bunch of different tax brackets and tax rules that go into that. And it is key that somebody going into retirement understand how these tax laws work in retirement and how they change year by year.
You know, it seems like since the era of COVID, they're changing stuff every single year.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Isn't that true? Well, so we've got a seminar coming up. It's Thursday, March 23rd, and Tuesday, March 28th at 6:30 p.m. in the old Clemens Library. You do have to register. It's 336-391-3409. 336-391-3409. You could also go to our website, thewealthguardians.com, and click on the events tab and register that way. But there is no cost or obligation to it. But again, if you're approaching retirement or in retirement and you haven't sat through a seminar on how tax laws change in retirement, I assure you, you want to. And that's how you can join us on March 23rd and or 28th.
And let me add this. In Secure Act 2.0, the changes, in my opinion, are for your benefit, but you need to learn about them and understand them so that you can use them for your benefit.
Very good. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break here after the trivia question, and then we're going to talk about golf in retirement and how golf is kind of synonymous with retirement planning. Doug, here's your trivia question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This week, Lynyrd Skynyrd joined only two other bands in the annals of rock and roll. That's the Ramones and a band called Motorhead that you might not be familiar with. What happened to Lynyrd Skynyrd that they are now only three bands that have this distinction? Ramones, Motorhead, and Lynyrd Skynyrd. Doug's got a thoughtful look on his face. We'll see if he gets it. Stick around through the break, and we will go ahead and get to that trivia question answer and get to our second topic. This is Brice Payne. With me is Doug Ray. The show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5, WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM, WTOB. News Talk 94.5, WPTI. 96.7 FM, WTOB. You're listening to The Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm Brice Payne along with Doug Ray, and in this second segment this morning, we are talking about what golf teaches us about financial planning. Now, before we get to our trivia question, I've got two questions for you. A, are you looking forward to your retirement? B, do you want to make sure that you're making the best financial decisions for your retirement? I'm hoping you answered yes to those questions. If you did, then I've got great news for you. We here at the Wealth Guardians offer a no-cost, no-obligation second opinion / review of your retirement plan, including a deep analysis of your assets, your investment portfolio, your insurance policies, your income needs, risk tolerance, risk exposure, tax mitigation strategies, legacy goals, and the fees you are currently paying. Our goal is simple. We want to help you lower your fees, align your risk, and improve your overall retirement picture so you can retire the job and keep the paycheck. But the ball is in your court. You have to give us a call. And our phone number is 336-391-3409. It's 336-391-3409. I encourage you to give us a call or visit us at thewealthguardians.com to set up your financial plan review with Doug, Garrett, and myself today. And remember, the markets aren't going to wait for you. And now let's go ahead and get to that trivia question and see if we stumped Doug. So Doug, you ready?
Try.
The question is this. This week, Lynyrd Skynyrd became only the third band out of all the major rock and roll bands out there to be distinguished as this. They are joining the Ramones and a band called Motorhead, which you don't strike me as probably either of those, a fan of either of those guys. Now, I will say that depending on whether or not you view the Jimi Hendrix Experience as a band or Jimi Hendrix as a solo act with two supporting members, if you consider it a band, then that band would be in this category as well. So Lynyrd Skynyrd, the Ramones, Motorhead, and Jimi Hendrix Experience are the only bands in rock and roll, major bands in rock and roll, to have met this distinction. What is that distinction?
Well, I do love Lynyrd Skynyrd's music. Always have. Brice, I don't know.
Don't know.
I just don't know.
Okay. So I tried to throw you one. You know, it happened this week. So the last living member of the original lineup of Lynyrd Skynyrd passed away this week. And only the Ramones and Motorhead have had, and Jimi Hendrix Experience, have had all original members pass away. During our set break here, I think you suspected what the answer was going to be, but you knew some band member lineups and went there. And who was it? Ricky
Medlock.
Ricky Medlock.
So the backstory on this, my senior pastor at Weddington Methodist Church years ago, Lenny Stadler, and anyway, Lenny came from a musical family in Reidsville, North Carolina. His dad made guitars and sold them to some of the greatest rock bands out there. But Lenny started a southern rock band called Blackfoot,
right,
and went down to Jacksonville before Lynyrd Skynyrd became famous and recruited Ricky Medlock away, and he and Lenny started Blackfoot. Long story short, Lenny converted to Christ at some point during this process, left Blackfoot, and went into the Methodist preaching profession, and quite a story there.
Yeah.
Ricky did eventually leave Blackfoot and go back to Lynyrd Skynyrd, and then the rest is history.
And the rest is history. So during the set break, you mentioned that, and I thought, well, could I possibly have my facts wrong? Because I've read this in many places now. Ricky Medlock was not an original member of the Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Right, he was not.
He was an early member,
right,
but not an original. So that still holds true that Lynyrd Skynyrd, the Ramones, Motorhead, and Jimi Hendrix Experience are the only 4 bands out there where all the original members have passed on. That seems amazing to me, with how long rock and roll has been around, that we still have members from those early bands, at least 1 or 2 members out there. I saw Paul McCartney last year, God bless him, and he's still rocking and rolling out there. So, all right, well, you didn't quite get it, but I think you knew where we were, what we were shooting for. What we're going to talk about now in our second segment here, Doug, you're a fan of golf.
Yes.
You played, and you even are proud to say that on your last outing that you got an eagle.
Well, it wasn't my last outing, but it was my one and only eagle of my life.
Okay.
So, it was a few years ago.
On a pro course, and you actually got an eagle.
Yeah.
What course was that?
That was the Ballantyne Resort course down in Charlotte.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's truly impressive. All right. Well, if you're a golfer, even if you're not, the game of golf can teach us valuable lessons about retirement planning. For example, hitting a hole-in-one might be thrilling, but it won't necessarily guarantee your overall success. And just like you need different clubs in your golf bag to play around, you need a well-balanced approach to your investments in retirement. But perhaps the most important lesson from golf is the value of having a caddy in retirement planning. A financial advisor can help you navigate the hazards and make the most of your financial quote-unquote clubs. So let's tune in here and talk about how the game of golf can actually help you plan for a successful retirement. Doug, hitting a hole-in-one.
Yeah, I've never done it.
No?
I've been close.
Have you?
Yeah. But, hitting a hole-in-one is a thrill. Interestingly enough, in the Masters tournament, which is the Super Bowl of golf,
yes,
in its whole entire history, there's only been 24 golfers during the tournament to get a hole-in-one. And none of them were the same. It was a different golfer each time.
Right.
And oddly enough, none of them went on to win the Masters.
So what on earth could our point be about that and successful retirement planning?
Well, of course, a hole-in-one is great. It's an ace. It sits there as 1 on your scorecard. But in 18 holes, it may not matter, because it's the long haul that gets it done for you. And that's the same as true in retirement planning. You're always out there looking to try to find the next Apple computer at $1 a share.
The Google.
Or something like that. But no, it's not going to happen for you. It's the long process, the planning, putting everything together in a balanced process that's going to get your retirement done.
You could even have a couple holes in one, figuratively speaking, about I made the right call on this investment back when it was $1 a share or whatnot. Yeah, that's great, and power to you. That's fun. But does that alone mitigate your taxes? Does that alone have you well prepared for retirement, knowing what your budget is and retiring at the right time and having the structuring of your accounts properly so that you're converting pre-tax money to? There's a lot that goes into retirement planning.
Yeah.
And that goes way beyond just having gotten 1 or 2 stocks right and Uber, that really sounds good. Airbnb, that really sounds good. Let me go and get that. That's great. But that's not going to set you up for a successful retirement, that alone.
Right.
Right.
I liked your point about the caddy, too. because that plays right into it.
Yes,
now,
it does.
Not every golfer has a caddy. Us guys that just play on the weekends, we certainly don't need a caddy. But the pros all have caddies.
Right.
And those caddies play a very important role for those pros. They help them line up their shot, get distances for them, recommend what clubs they need based on wind and that kind of thing. Well, guess what happens? How does that relate to retirement planning? You probably need a caddy or a coach or an advisor to do all of that stuff for you, to help line up all your investments, to do your Social Security optimizations, to figure out when's a good time to do Roth conversions. It's just like that caddy for Tiger Woods, checking the wind, looking at the grass, seeing how the greens roll, that kind of thing. A lot of little detail in it, details that somebody who doesn't have an advisor would probably overlook.
Well, that advisor is carrying a lot of the knowledge load, so to speak, of what are the tax law changes, what are the markets going to do this year. That's a lot of knowledge that you in retirement probably don't want to have to do your research on and figure out how does that impact my retirement. The advisor is carrying that bag of clubs for you all across those greens so that you can have a nice leisurely walk across retirement there. Yep. So very good. And let's talk about the clubs in the golf bag.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the clubs in the golf bag,
most of us start saving for retirement somewhere in our 20s, and if we, like everybody else, retire somewhere in our 60s or early 70s, you've gone through most of your life with the wealth accumulation phase. You could just be in the S&P 500 for a large portion of that investment stage of your life, but once you turn to retirement and now you're taking distributions, that's like getting up on the green. Now you've got to play with a completely different set of clubs.
Yep. The game of golf says you can carry in regulation 14 clubs. Okay. No golfer would go out there with one or two clubs in their bag. This kind of talks about diversification.
Yes.
You should never retire with one or two stocks in your portfolio. You need broad diversification because each of those 14 clubs in that bag, they're designed for some place on the golf course. Your driver is where you tee off. Putters, when you're on the green, you're trying to put the ball into the hole. Then you've got all kinds of clubs in between to help you get to the hole.
Get out of the rough, whatever.
Yeah, same is true in retirement. In that retirement portfolio of yours should be all kinds of different clubs to help you through every different phase of your life.
Very good. It's I love this show. I love this episode here. I do want to mention before we've got to go that, Doug, we've got a seminar coming up.
We do.
Speaking of all those different clubs, here's one of the clubs that you would want to have in your bag: Understanding Taxes in Retirement. And again, we said this in the first segment. We'll say it here. If you are about to retire or have just retired, and you're probably familiar with a couple of different tax codes, the tax bracket that you and your spouse might fall in, and long-term and short-term capital gains. But it's a lot more complicated than that in retirement. And you want to have that knowledge. You want to go into retirement having an understanding of how taxes are going to impact you. Well, we've got a seminar coming up. It's Thursday, March 23rd, and again, Tuesday, March 28th at 6:30 p.m. at our office in the old Clemens Library in Clemens. You can go to our website, thewealthguardians.com, and click on the events tab to register, or you can give us a call, 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. It's our first time this year doing this, and Doug, it's really important that people have an understanding of taxes, and there are some serious tax law changes in 2023 that people want to be aware of, and you think will work toward their advantage as long as they're utilizing them.
Exactly.
Very good. Well, Doug, thanks for joining us. And out there, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to change those clocks for this weekend. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have here this week. So we hope the rest of your weekend is everything you want it to be. This is Brice Payne, along with Doug Ray. The show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB.